Day in the life of a black girl working in tech, y'all.
Here's a day in the life working at Google as an account strategist in LA.
Welcome to a day in my life as a 22-year-old living in NYC and working at Google.
Welcome to a day in my life as a 23-year-old living in New York City and working at Google.
My very realistic day in the life of a software engineer.
Here's a day in the life working from home in digital marketing in Vancouver.
What's up, guys? Here is another day in my life as a tech girly in Seattle. You don't know the programming on Amazon. Day in my life as a data scientist living in San Francisco.
The things we do for show business. Hi, I'm Weebo Jones. Welcome to the channel. It's important that you all know I can't actually show you my work given the fact that it's classified and I don't want anyone to actually know where I work, so I'll attempt to convey the vibe using colorful descriptive language, Google stock stand-ins, my own half-ass attempt at reenactment. This'll be fun. Let's hop to it.
It was one of those days where you leave for work at 7 a.m. and you don't get back until past midnight.
Today was one of those days where you start your day at 4:20 and the grind doesn't really cease until about 8 p.m. give or take. I start my day off by hitting snooze on the 4:20 alarm for 10 minutes before throwing myself out of bed to rush getting dressed in the dark, make coffee, feed the cats, brush my teeth, and prep my lunch for the day.
I left for work early for a 9 a.m. meeting that was conveniently canceled right beforehand.
I'm out the door, running late for the 18-minute commute to work. Luckily, the only people on the road at the time were people who hate slow driving about as much as they hate themselves. So, with the help of a radar detector, a lead foot, and some strategic passing, that commute can be cut down to about 12 minutes.
But luckily I got to the lobby and there were these eucalyptus towels waiting for me, which is really nice.
Now, technically my shift starts at 6 o'clock, and I have to walk to where it is that I have to be in order to clock in for my shift. It's not really a shift, is it? Because I'm not hourly. I'm salary, so it's different. But not really. I enter the plant. I'm greeted by a windowless hallway of painted cinder block and fluorescence, ending in a pair of foreboding doors. The conference room. But just before those doors off to the left is my cube room, where I am allocated a workspace surrounded by as many monitors as I have personalities. Plural. My workday begins at 6 a.m. by logging in and changing all of my 8 various passwords to some other version of the same 15-character passphrase with at least one capital letter, one lowercase letter, a symbol that isn't a dollar sign for reasons that you don't care about, and a number that hasn't been one of the previous 10 instances, because it's been 100 days and I totally spaced about this before the weekend came along. Oopsies. Then I quickly have to shut down every program that relies on the user account and call IT real quick to unlock said user account, because in a span of about 10 minutes, said programs have run about 2,000 concurrent procedures under the wrong credentials, locking me out of my account. Yay me. I spend the next 30 minutes on the phone with IT, 29 of which were on hold, and then I change my password again to some other version of the same 15-character passphrase with at least one capital letter, one lowercase letter, a symbol that isn't a dollar sign for reasons that I won't go into detail about, and a number that hasn't been one of the previous 10 instances.
And some fresh orange water, which I of course took before taking the elevator up to the office.
So I restart all the program instances at this point, and then I have a sip of coffee for the first time since sitting down 40 minutes ago. And now it's back to the grind, because it's time to respond to the mounting emails informing me that this, that, and the other program aren't working right now.
I grabbed some breakfast, normal oatmeal and chia seed pudding.
As if on schedule, suddenly one of the 3 servers we use for literally everything is experiencing intermittent issues. And I get yet more emails letting me know of this fact from end users. I go to check one of the affected programs and turns out, yep.
Unable to access availability database delinquent database because the database replica is not in the primary or secondary role. Connection to an availability database is permitted only when the database replica is in the primary or secondary role. Try the operation again later.
We got an issue. So I email the end user, tell them I'll email the admins. I email the admins. And while I'm waiting for a response, I take this opportunity to email a few other people for the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th, and the 5th time, reminding them of a question I asked a whole 3 weeks ago that I still haven't heard back about, CCing my boss for good measure, because I'm petty like that. Take my second sip of coffee.
We finally got LinkedIn mugs in the office, which I'm so excited about.
Then, it's time to tackle some GitHub issues. So I created a new branch of the current program in GitHub based off the main branch and opened up a Visual Studio 2015 instance. I've barely messed with the thing before I realized that the very act of rendering the designer on a different monitor has completely messed up all visual aspects completely. Some controls have completely disappeared from the form, some are too squished together, etc., etc. I then have to spend an awful whole bunch of time parsing through the form and all of its individual elements, reconfiguring all its different aspects to fit on this newly scaled window.
Then I found out that the wall art that we have in the office is made out of recycled trees from Chicago, which was so cool. Fun fact.
The admins for the server have emailed me back now to confirm that there was in fact downtime for that particular server. However, it seems to be working now. Thanks! I email the end users back the good news and take a moment to breathe harshly through my nostrils as I sip on my third sip of coffee that day.
And then it was time for our company all hands, so I grabbed our drink of the day, which is a blackberry mojito, and headed downstairs to the all hands room with some of my coworkers.
The program has been rescaled to a workable display. At long last, I get to finally make good use of the $200,000 piece of paper that says I'm qualified to do the things I'm about to do to this digital version of a paper form. Another email from an end user informing me that some other program is experiencing latency issues. And so I direct them towards the online form we use for such instances as this, so that we may track issues, I tell them. But secretly, with the futile hope that someday I no longer get emails from end users and I can just solve all of their problems without interacting with them whatsoever. Oh, wouldn't that be the day? I take my fourth sip of coffee.
Lunch because we were starving after that. There was this cool little dish.
I turn my attention back to the program, but it's too late. I have a virtual status meeting about progress I've made on a program I currently have rendered on my desktop. So I call into that for the next 30 minutes to update concerned parties on the unchanged status of the current project, all the while thinking that the entirety of this meeting could have probably been in an email.
And I grabbed a chai latte before heading to work.
The meeting is at last over. I can sneak in a little bit of that programming before lunch. I can power through maybe at least 3 issues in that amount of time, I think to myself. Oh, you naive, sweet summer child. With all the best intentions to make some improvement upon the program, I somehow managed to break the stupid thing beyond salvageability. Luckily, everything I've done is within a digital space and can be immediately undone by rebasing the current branch from the main working branch, erasing all trace of just how badly I screwed the pooch. And I go off to lunch, having achieved absolutely nothing of consequence all day so far.
Watch some of my coworkers play ping pong.
Alright. I know what you're thinking. So far, this has not been a reigning endorsement of women in the tech. And you're right. Basically been a Weebo in the terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day right now. You might be wondering, for what reason should I hire a woman in tech? Well, let me tell ya. It was Ada Lovelace's notes on the analytical engine that Alan Turing used to inspire his work on the first modern computer in 1940. It was Hedy Lamarr's frequency hopping system that inspired Wi-Fi, GPS, and Bluetooth technology. And it was Weebo Jones's absolute autistic attention to UI design and coding language constructs that set the standard going forward within her company team.
That's just the fancy ways saying that you make things look prettier.
Yeah, well, you're just a floating voice off camera. Not even here. Don't listen to her.
As long as you're aware of it.
Anyway, I would just like to emphasize, both for the people in the audience that take my hyperbolic video depicting the terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day as validation that women don't belong in tech, or to my company, should they ever see this, this is a joke. I'm making a funny, not to be taken seriously. Just in case you weren't smart enough to get that. Moving on.
And then tried out a new quiet room, which is a really nice area to just relax and unplug from work.
The time to make a difference this day is gradually waning. I receive a ticket asking me to adjust the email subject line of a daily scheduled.txt workflow. There's just one problem. It has been more than 30 days since I last opened said application, and Enterprise Services has reclaimed the license. I effectively don't have an Alteryx license. I email my boss.
Then it was time to buckle down.
And now the server is down again, per a slew of emails from the end users telling me that the application that they're using connected to the server that's always down is not working at the moment. I again reach out to database admins.
Sat in our focus area for a while.
My boss has forwarded me her license for Alteryx, and I get to work making the minute change.
I grabbed a snack after I was hungry.
And then I realized that because the server where the workflow is pulling from is down, I can't actually test the changes that I've made, so this ticket sits in limbo for a while longer, padding my TAD time. This downtime also prevents me from working productively on any other program I maintain, so now I have to find something to busy myself with.
And then I finished up the rest of my work.
My annual harassment training just so happens to be due this week, so I guess I have the next hour and a half of my workday figured out. Yay me.
Before getting an email announcing the next team that I'll be joining through my BLP program.
I have successfully completed my harassment training and am no longer in danger of harassing anyone ever again, because now I know which behaviors are a no-go. Now I know. Phew. That was a close one. But the database is still down, and I have exhausted all TAT-reducing options, and so I begin to reorganize my outstanding tasks.
Work was finally over, it was hot as hell, so we went to go get some drinks in Lincoln Park.
I have finished reorganizing my tasks. I move on to reorganizing my hard drive files.
Before heading to a housewarming party for one of our coworkers, here we are. There was banana pudding.
My hard drive files have been reorganized. I move on to the physical papers within my cube.
It was just great summer vibes and really fun to connect with everyone.
I have completed organizing my physical papers just in time for another progress meeting that could have probably been an email.
And then we last minute decided, F it, let's go out. So we headed to West Loop and went to Federales for a quick drink.
And having gone 9.5 hours of my life without actually having done a whole bunch of things, or been a whole bunch of productive in any meaningful sort of way, I finished my day by logging my time, packing my laptop, heading home, where my day ends by screaming into the void. And that is actually what it's like to work in tech for a day. No, actually, that was hyperbolic. On an average day, I do get a lot more done than that. It's not all technical issues, although there are some days where it feels like you are running into nothing but every technical issue that you could possibly have under the sun. And it's just a slew of email after slew of email after slew of email telling you, hey, this thing doesn't work. There are definitely days like that. But more often than not, you are making some minute amount of project at the very least. And, you know, all that said, I love my job. I love what I do. I love that I get to do it. And I love that I get to do it the way that I want to. So, that's the video. See you next time, ladies and gentlemen. Until next time, have a great life.